There's a quiet kind of pain that nobody talks about. It doesn't look like failure. It doesn't look like giving up. From the outside, it actually looks like potential because you're the one with big dreams. The one who says things like, "One day I'm going to build something incredible. One day I'll prove everyone wrong. One day everything will change." And the strange part is, you believe it, not in a casual way, but deeply. You can see it. You can feel it. Sometimes it feels more real than your current life. But then, nothing happens. Days pass, weeks pass, months pass, and the dream stays exactly where it was, inside your head. So what's going on here? Why do some people dream big, but never move? It's easy to call it laziness, but that's not the truth, because dreaming actually requires emotional energy. Imagining a better life, a different future, a new version of yourself. That's not something a lazy mind does. So if it's not laziness, then what is it? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. For many people, dreaming becomes a substitute for doing. Not intentionally, not consciously, but psychologically, it happens. When you imagine success vividly enough, your brain releases a small sense of reward. Not the full reward of achievement, but just enough to feel like progress. It's subtle. You think about starting that business, and for a moment, you feel proud. You picture yourself achieving something meaningful, and for a moment, you feel fulfilled. And your brain quietly says, "This feels good, let's stay here." No risk, no rejection, no uncertainty, just possibility. But there's a hidden cost, because the more you live in imagined progress, the harder real action starts to feel. Real action is messy, it's slow, it's uncertain, it challenges your identity. In your mind, you're already capable, already talented, already someone who could succeed. But action forces a different question. What if I try, and I'm not as good as I think? That question alone is powerful enough to stop movement. So instead, you protect the dream. You keep it perfect, untouched, unchallenged. Because as long as you don't act, the dream can never be proven wrong. And that creates a strange emotional loop. You feel inspired, but stuck. Motivated, but inactive. Hopeful, but quietly frustrated. And over time, something even deeper starts to happen. Your identity begins to shift. You stop being someone who is building something and start becoming someone who is meant to do something. It sounds similar, but it's completely different because meant to lives in the future and building exists in the present. And here's the part most people don't realize. The longer you stay in this state, the more uncomfortable action becomes. Because now, it's not just about trying, it's about protecting the image you've built of yourself, the potential, the talent, the future version of you that hasn't been tested yet. And risking that feels heavier than doing nothing. But there's something else happening beneath all of this, something even more important. And once you see it, you won't be able to ignore it anymore. Because underneath all of this, it's not really about dreams at all. It's about fear. Not loud, obvious fear, but quiet, intelligent fear. The kind that disguises itself as waiting for the right time, or needing more clarity, or I'll start when I feel ready. But the truth is, readiness is one of the most convincing illusions the mind creates, because it always stays just out of reach. There's always one more thing to learn, one more plan to make, one more moment to wait for, and while you're waiting, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass quietly, time reshapes your priorities, And the dream that once felt urgent starts to feel distant. Not because you stopped caring, but because you got used to not acting. And that's the real danger. Not failure, but adaptation. You adapt to inaction. You become comfortable with postponing your own potential, and eventually, you stop noticing the gap between who you are and who you imagined you could be. But here's the shift, the moment that changes everything, and it's when you realize the goal was never the dream itself. It was the person you become while pursuing it. Because action does something dreaming never can. It gives you feedback. It shows you your limits. And more importantly, how to move beyond them. It replaces imagination with experience. And yes, that experience can be uncomfortable. It can challenge your confidence. It can expose your weaknesses. But it also builds something real. Something grounded, something that doesn't disappear when the day ends. And this is where most people misunderstand growth. They think confidence comes first and then action follows. But in reality, action comes first. And confidence is built slowly, quietly, through repetition, through showing up on days when you don't feel like it, through doing things imperfectly, through facing small moments of doubt and continuing anyway. That's how the identity shifts from someone who dreams to someone who does. And it doesn't happen all at once. There's no dramatic transformation, no single moment where everything changes. It's subtle, almost invisible at first. You take one small step, then another. Not because you feel ready, but because you're willing to feel unready. And that's the difference. Because the people who eventually build something meaningful aren't the ones with the biggest dreams, they're the ones who learned how to act. Despite the discomfort that comes with it, they stopped negotiating with their fear. They stopped waiting for perfect conditions. And they accepted something simple. That clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. And maybe that's the part nobody tells you. You don't need a new dream. You don't need more motivation. You don't even need to feel confident. You just need to break the pattern. Once, even in the smallest way. Because the moment you move, even slightly, you prove something to yourself. That you're not just someone who imagines a different life. You're someone who is capable of stepping toward it. And that changes everything. Not instantly, but permanently. Because once you experience that shift, it becomes harder to go back to just dreaming. And maybe that's the real purpose of all those big ideas you've been holding on to. Not to impress anyone, not to stay safely in your mind, but to quietly remind you of the life that's still waiting on the other side of action.